If either of you had a backyard movie phase as kids, what was the first special effect you used to kill someone?
I'll start. I did make a lot of backyard movies as a kid, specifically horror movies, and I was famous for my Friday the 19th films. Which very and the sequel Jason Z. So you can see where the
third cousin
inspiration's coming from there. And I remember my first one. I had a Jason mask, and we used the Halloween theme because I liked that more than the Friday the 13th theme. And I stood up in a tree and tried to attack my cousin. And the way that Jason ended up dying was that we stuck a twig into the eye of the mask and didn't do any fake blood or anything. It was literally just twig into mask eye hole. So
forcing the viewer to fill in the blank, classic trick.
Yeah, it was very subtle for an 11-year-old.
It's budget friendly. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Vincent, what about you? Were you killing people with twigs?
No, and I never really had a making movie phase. I always wanted to, but just never did. One thing I did do, though, is after I saw The Evil Dead in middle school, I read all the books that were on it, and in one of them there's the recipe for the blood that they used. So, and I remember specifically it was in a big country crock butter tub. I mixed up the blood recipe and just had it, and had nothing to do with it, so it just kind of sat in our basement, but I made that, so there's my special effects background.
You never found a use for it? You couldn't, Halloween or anything? You just kept
I think I did, and it, stained my skin, so I was just I don't even know what to do with this.
Powerful recipe.
Yeah.
I mean...
So. That's why in Jason Z we just used ketchup.
It's more flavorful, more preservatives. And yeah, I had a friend in 3rd grade who was like, guys, we're going to start a movie club. It's going to be called Movietopia. And the popular video game at the time, this is probably dating myself, but it was Splinter Cell's Chaos Theory, I believe. So we were like, we're going to make a spy movie. And there was no script or idea. He was just like, okay, I'm going to film you go into the backyard and throw a grenade into this building and it'll blow up. And so I did, and I threw the grenade, and I think we were so shocked that I actually threw it into the hole on the first try that he just went and just started shaking the camera. And I think that was all we did. Don't hire me, Aaron. Welcome back to the Split Tooth Compound for the 3rd episode of Split Picks in just 1 month. Look at that. We got on the right track, even handed it off to Jim Hickox last week. They did a great episode with Steve Collins and Spencer Parsons talking about Basket Case 2 and Bad Biology from Frank Henenlotter. That's a great episode. We got to follow that. So,
Oof.
We're digging deep into our bag of tricks in the old compound today. But I am Craig Wright, and we had such a good time talking about video violence last week that we decided to really dig deep, and we went with another movie with a similar title, collection of films. Today, we're talking about Videogore. Come on, that's pretty good, guys. Video violence, Videogore, it's awesome.
That's good. Video violence, Videogore. What are we going to do next?
We'll think of something. But today we're looking at, I think this is the first time we've done 4 films. These are 4 films from Jon Christian Møller. We're going to talk a lot about this because we got a guy who knows a few things, maybe even could be considered an expert in the field. So, Aaron, welcome back. How you doing?
Great to be here, Craig. Thank you for having me, as always.
Good. I was so excited. We scheduled this on a Thursday. I was like, oh, good. Aaron won't be distracted this time by the Eagles playing. Guess what?
I really fucked this up.
Eagles are on Thursday Night Football, and the Phillies are currently in extra innings right now. So,
and the Flyers. And okay, so can you give me 30 seconds?
Yes.
30 seconds, please. So I'm wearing my Philadelphia tuxedo right now. Got my Phillies shirt. Got my Eagles hat on. It's just the life of a Philly sports fan is endless pain and suffering until it's really great. And yeah, right now, Phillies elimination game. They need to win this game or else they're out of the postseason, and they're in extra innings, tied 1-1 with the Dodgers. But my mind is fully here. I have nothing else going on, and I'm not going to pay attention to the Eagles game because I care more about SOV horror than sports. That is true. That is true. Even though I really do care about Philadelphia sports, SOV any day of the week with a bullet.
With a bullet. All right. I think we got another guy who probably is going to echo that sentiment. Vincent, welcome back. How you doing today?
Doing good. Very excited to talk about these 4 very special works with you guys.
Special is definitely a good word coming from you. We're going to dive into this a lot. Like I said, we've never really done 4 movies before. We usually stick to 2, and sometimes a third kind of bubbles up. But today we're talking about 3 short films. Muller's 3 shorts were, the Norwegian Drillbit Massacre, Cannibal Massacre, and I Hate You, Kill or Die. And then we're going to dive into his feature film, Oslo Terror. The reason we're talking about all of these at once, though, is because Vincent did some pretty heroic work in the last few months. I mean, was this months, years even, maybe?
Yeah, it started about a year and a half ago, roughly. Yeah, a little bit more than that. And then the actual in-process part of getting this set together was about 8 or 9 months.
Okay. As my favorite thing to do on a podcast, I'm currently holding up the product we're talking about. Aaron is too. This is great. We're like high-fiving on screen with him. Great stuff.
I'm gesturing toward
Cheers.
a box of unsold product, so...
Everyone go buy Videogore at Vince's website.
They're going to want to.
It's a great set.
Yeah.
So the set is called Videogore, the films of J.C. Moller. That cover alone, like, the artwork on this is amazing, and I think just to get the mood right, I just want to read this little quote on the back of what we're about to be diving into. Dig into 4 jaw-droppingly sick dispatches so vile they could only have been made by jovial adolescents.
I think it's really funny how we went from our last episode dealing with like a very pure guy who, when he was a little younger, ventured into like some stuff that we were on the fence about. We were like, we'll give you one, Gary, with your rape jokes and what have you. And now we're moving on to a total, just like, there's nothing redeeming about these in terms of any sort of PC-ness or...
We're all bad taste here.
Political correctness.
Yeah.
Keeps things interesting.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. So normally I like to ask people, like, how did you find these? But, Aaron, I think you and I are probably going to say the exact same thing. So why don't we just hand this off to Vincent. Vincent, give us a little intro about how you found J.C. Muller's films and which did you see first?
So, just getting knee-deep in the SOV horror trenches, kind of developed this fascination with especially titles from Europe. There are the classic examples like Burning Moon by Olaf Ittenbach, the violent shit films, and then just there are all these titles that there are images online and titles and descriptions. It's like, well, I'll probably never see those. Well, Norwegian Drillbit Massacre was one of those because, that title jumps out at you. I think everyone would agree.
Absolutely.
It's like
so good.
What the hell is in Norway? So of course I want to see the gore films coming out of there. And I actually saw it because of my good friend CB Cobb, who's also the partner in Xposure Video that put out this set with me and editor of Dangerous Encounter zine. He had gotten a hold of through some file sharing site, Norwegian Drillbit Massacre, and shared it with me. And that was 2021. So this was years and years ago.
Okay.
And I was fascinated with it because it's the perfect adolescent SOV horror bad taste fest with stolen heavy metal music and awkward social customs that are inscrutable to me without subtitles.
Okay, so you first saw these in Norwegian, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll carry over to when we start talking about the other three.
Okay.
All of these. Yeah.
When did you find his other films next? Because it sounds like that was a bit of a process, right?
Yeah, that's the part that took years. So, after seeing the Drillbit Massacre, I loved it instantly, as I often do. I started looking into Jon Christian Møller online, and there are online, at the time, especially now that the release is out, images of Videogore. It's the same art that we used for the release, which is the original VHS art for Oslo Terror. And anyone listening should pause or pull up a browser right now and look up that image, because it's this incredible black and white ink pen drawing of a ghoul on a tombstone. It's amazing, and of course I wanted to see that.
It is a striking image. It really
Yeah,
is.
it's fantastic. And just going off of that, I spent years, doing periodic searches like, hey, are any of these other 3 movies online? Can I locate this guy?
So how long did it take you to track him down?
So it took me 3 years. It was late in 2024, last year, when I did, and it's because of the Norse cult film podcast. I think I just did another of my periodic searches for Jan online, and this Spotify link came up to this podcast with him as a featured guest. So I was like, oh, this guy that works as like a diplomat at the time, I think, is the guy that I'm looking for. Now, if only I could locate him. So I messaged the podcast on their Instagram page, didn't get a response, dug around. I think it was another couple months before I searched for Jan again, and I found that he had his own website promoting the books that he wrote, which are like a crime thriller fiction. And I sent an email through his site, and he got back to me, and very shortly after sent me links to the films.
Okay, so they were like not to be found online, right? Except for Norwegian Drillbit Massacre?
Right. And the funny thing is, during the process of me assembling this release, they did end up like on archive.org by someone.
Okay.
So they eventually would have found their way online, but I ended up getting them through Jan himself.
Okay.
And that was the only way to see them except for Drillbit.
Okay.
Vincent, do you have a list of like unfound SOV work that you're doing periodic searches for?
I sure do.
Okay, that's awesome.
How big is that list, out of curiosity?
It's 100 some titles.
Wow.
Okay.
Is the goal now to, obviously it's unrealistic to do this for all of them, but like, is the goal to release these films through your label as you find them?
I would love to. I maybe 1 in like 8 have luck even getting a response from someone. So
Gotcha.
I would love to do it. And there are some that people just don't want out there for understandable reasons.
Right.
Sure.
So,
Well, I think it's awesome because maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but you're like doing incredible work. I was reading through the book, admittedly earlier today, but I was a little. Craig and I were both a little late on our prep on this, but Craig, you're a much busier guy than I am.
I read it last night. Please.
But I was reading through the book and I was like, man, Vincent is doing the fucking work, man. Like he is. This is kind of what it's all about. Like whether or not it was almost irrelevant whether or not I even liked the films, which we'll get into. But like the fact that someone made them with passion and then you found them and restored them is like awesome. I would love it if you kept doing that, Vincent.
that's the plan, yeah. And that kind of leads into what we were going to talk about next with just why start a label to release this stuff.
Precisely.
And the idea behind that is I've done work for places like Saturn's Core and others, and it's been an awesome experience, but I thought, the European titles are less exposed, if you will. And if I can get an in, I can try and do things my own way. Part of that includes, just having complete control over the release with my partner in it. And also, I'm kind of a nerd about writing about films. That's what I do on Split Tooth most of the time. So it's like I can give these like a good written zine booklet and, count that as an extra and try and tell the story in the way that I personally find appealing. And since with these I was in touch with Jon himself, it was kind of a no-brainer after I had watched them and confirmed, like, yeah, these are really cool. Why don't I just try?
So what was the process like to, get the rights and everything? Was he pretty open to working with you, or did he have any skepticism about getting these movies out? Or
and how much of the rights did he actually own? Because again, we'll get into the the soundtrack part of it, but
yeah. So yeah, Jon was very open, very willing to work with me on this, which is funny since he had like a real respectable career. It's like, you sure you want these out? And I should also add that he did unfortunately pass away a little over a year ago while this release was in process. Yeah. So the first stretch where we were communicating and everything, he was a great sport. He helped a lot with the subtitle translations that we'll be getting to and just general questions that I had. But no, he was very open to me just saying, like, I want to put these out. I want to subtitle them, do a booklet, do an interview. That was the plan initially. And I quoted a price and a very loose agreement for the rights. He was very fine with that. And then it was off to the races.
Super. Yeah, that's a heartbreaking part of the read in the booklet. Because I had looked him up. And I also had seen a Letterboxd review, I think, of Oslo Terror that mentioned that he had passed. But not that I guess work's value goes up when the artist dies, even though maybe that is how it actually happens monetarily. But like in terms of just like, yeah, you said in your writing, now it feels more important to put this out and to have this in one accessible place.
Yeah, it definitely inspired me and CB Cobb, my partner on the release, to want to do this right when it came down to it.
You guys took care of that part. This is
cool.
Again, I'm holding this up because you can't see me right now, but like, it's just an incredible set. I mean, you guys did like everything yourselves down to designing, even stapling the booklets. Did you guys do all that yourself too? Like,
yeah, he did all of that. He didn't just he fucking trimmed them each individually by hand. So yeah, hand assembled.
It's about as good as a shot on video anything can look. And so you've brought up Videogore came from a zine, right? Was this? Yeah. Tell us about Videogore the zine.
So I actually don't know that much. I've never held an issue. I've only seen scans.
Okay.
But from what I know, it was Norway's first cult horror fanzine put out in the day. I've seen some ads and scans, and they were covering really fascinating stuff like the necromantic films and Richard Kern films, the late 80s. 88, 89, roughly the time period that the movies were being made when Jon was 15, 16 years old, which is fascinating since he was the editor.
Yeah.
And, just from what I've seen in the images, it kind of progressed from a real scrappy, Xerox job to a more professional magazine by the end of the run. I think there were 7 issues altogether. And that's where we called in a few favors with just people that saw we were putting out this release who were able to give us scans and images to use just so we had some kind of context because I never was able to come across them on my own.
Okay. So that's where most of the visuals in the booklet come from, though, right? Because it's a lot of Leatherface and all sorts of horror figures.
Yeah, there and just Fangoria issues I had lying around to really capture the kind of like adolescent horror obsessed milieu that these things are steeped in.
And was Jan making these at the same time that he was making the films?
As far as I know, yeah. I think the zine might have lasted a couple years longer. I think I might have seen something that it was till 91 or so.
I wish I was that productive at 15.
Right.
Yeah.
So all 4 of the movies we're talking about today were made between the ages of 15 and 16, right?
Yes.
That's remarkable.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, these are some genuinely wild films, and I think the Norwegian Drillbit Massacre seems to be the best entry point into them. Who wants to take the first stab at summarizing this movie?
I've talked a ton. Aaron, go for it.
This is very funny what you're doing to me right now, Vincent. So all of these plot-wise, I'm not going to be great at summarizing. If you want a great summary of all of them, buy Vincent's DVD and read the summaries in the booklet.
He clarifies some things.
Yes, but Norwegian Drillbit Massacre is basically, I mean, immediately when it started, I was transported back to my childhood and making, horror films, like you said, Craig, in the backyard. It's basically this killer who is drilling people, children, I would imagine 15, 16-year-olds in their crotch region generally.
Generally.
A lot of that.
And I think every one of these films has some genitalia mutilation.
Yeah.
But and it's just funny putting that up against, because the drill is typically, right, like supposed to be its own phallic symbol, but then you're putting that up against another. I don't know. It's very the gender politics of this are very deep for a 16-year-old. But basically, he goes on this killing spree, and then this I forget the name, Vincent, of the 2 people who end up bringing this killer down. It's Dr. Doll.
Dr. Dollshit is
Dr. Dollshit,
the female character. I don't know if the guy has a name. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, Dr. Dollshit and her male counterpart end up taking this killer down. Spoiler alert. But it's basically a half hour of nonstop kills, which all of these films kind of are. It's just like you meet a character and then they die, and then you meet a character and then they die. But this is probably, out of the 4 films, the most pure distillation of that. And Vincent, was this his first one?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it, because every single one he's like adding a new element, and it almost benefits from how just like simple it is, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
I also love that halfway through they just decide that it's a zombie, and there's a zombie like research facility just in the village. Great little twist like that.
In the hills of Norway.
Yeah. I do like how they established the killer, though, because the first time we see him, he's in the cemetery, and he just like pops out from under some leaves and just immediately starts drilling a dude
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes an entrance.
It's so good. It's so good. And I remember in your booklet, Vincent, you mentioned like how like already at this point Jan is doing like cutaways to bushes when people are getting killed and like stuff. Like he's already experimenting with unique kind of ways to cover these kills in the woods, right? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's more unique than just a point and shoot. Like, I don't know, I think in all of these, but especially here, which is the one most in like the natural setting, probably because they couldn't get permission to drill people in, their neighborhood. It's like he has an eye for the scenery and incorporates that into how some of the kills work out.
Also, just probably a budgetary thing. Just like, I can't show this kill, so I'm going to cut away to something and kind of mask it.
Yeah.
And then as the films go on, I think he learns more what he's doing, maybe gets some more resources, and you really start seeing stuff by the time you get to Oslo Terror.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how this is just like kids in the woods looking at, you know, like Playboys or whatever the Norwegian version of Playboy is, and like you can see a finger on the lens at certain point. There's like 2 minutes of a kid just playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Which might be the
just,
best part.
Oh yeah, it's so much buildup. There's a shot of him playing soccer for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then you realize that whole minute, the killer has been standing in the tree waiting to jump down and kill him. And it's just like the best jump scare ever.
It's tension building.
Yes. The thing I love about that, it kind of like drags to the point of like, okay, why are we here? And then as soon as you start thinking like, hey, this needs to get a move on, it just, the comedic timing is impeccable.
Right. It's also, this is the second split pick that we've had, and the second, I've only been on 2, but it's the second one where we've covered a film where a woman just casually threatens to rape a man.
Yeah. Yeah, that one kind of comes out of nowhere with when the subtitles came through. I was like, oh, that's what's being said? Okay.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah.
Now, Vincent, what were you, when you're getting these subtitles, like, because you said you were working closely with Jon on getting those, like, what's going through your brain as someone who watched the films not knowing what people were saying, and then you're learning that people are saying things like, Jesus fucking Christ, he killed the shit out of this poor prick.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, this is my first time commissioning something to be subtitled, and that process was, I have a friend I know online, Pete Can, who referred me to somebody when I asked him, who was able to do Norwegian subtitles for a fee. And so, you know, I got these piece by piece and consulted with Jon just for clarification, some things that maybe weren't clear because, you know, we're talking in-camera sound and slang from the 80s that might not have carried. And there's a certain dialect in the films that I was warned might be difficult. But yeah, it was definitely interesting because I'd watched them at least a couple times before having subtitles, and that's not a new experience to me. I can talk more on that later if we want, but it was definitely kind of like eye-opening seeing what was being said and what was coming in. I think you could honestly make a case with how little dialogue and how little of substance is said, especially in Drillbit Massacre. Like, probably didn't need to go through the trouble to do it. Yeah. But that was also my hook. It's like, no, we're going to do this right. We're going to have this so people who have had the bootlegs that did exist but weren't online can know what is being said for the first time ever. But yeah, it was definitely eye-opening.
In the age of like AI subtitles that are wrong half the time, like I also appreciate that so much. Like, it takes time and it takes money and it takes effort, but like that's the work that needs to be done. So good on you.
I very consciously wanted to avoid AI subtitling if at all possible. I looked at services that did it. It's expensive as hell, and it probably still would get farmed out to AI, if we're being honest. So I'm really glad that I had Stein working on the subtitles. He was great and did a fantastic job.
Plus that fireworks stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, this one really doesn't have much dialogue until the end, but the spectacles here really are the kills, because you get some, you know, up close and personal drilling in multiple regions of the body, and then it turns out that the zombie research facility has determined the only way to kill the zombie is, what's the direct quote? I have it written down. I don't have it written down, but it requires a firecracker to the stomach, basically.
Yes.
And you mentioned, you know, there's some cheap gore and maybe some unsafe conditions, but let's walk through a few of these because they are wild.
The power drill is the only killing weapon in the movie. This is not like a slasher film where there's a chainsaw with no chain. No, this is a power drill with a bit.
Yeah.
This is an actual bit on it for the whole thing. And most of the kills are kids in sweaters having their sweaters drilled into and then ripped open, like with holes made by the drill. So it's happening.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
which
blood
is a
bags.
recurring theme Yeah, in every
Yes.
one of these films, it's crotch violence, and it's at least one potentially actually life-threatening stunt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zombies or cannibals appear in all of them. What else?
Right.
There's some overlap.
Yeah. There are themes.
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, I think, is in all of them. Yeah. Maybe not legally, but.
And then, yeah, as you were saying, Craig, the finale kill is with firecrackers. Not just one, it's a brick or several. And it's placed on the actor playing the zombie's stomach under his shirt. I have to hope there was, a sheet of metal or something placed there. But, yeah, they lit off a good string of firecrackers and just let them burn through on his stomach in real time.
The screams seem pretty real.
Yeah.
Don't know if
So
there's much
badass.
acting.
Kids, if there's any kids listening to this, please make sure you do that.
And this show is getting canceled.
Split Pix is gone.
I mean, I guess so Vincent, this was your gateway into finding Jan's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess just what about this film made you want to find his other films, and then also did they live up to your expectations of what this auteur made in this one year long period of, was it 1 year that he made all these?
Yeah, 1 to
That's
18
crazy.
months max, I'd say. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, this is just kind of like the ideal vision of teenage SOV horror. It's like Splatter Farm. It's all these bad decisions that broadcast a teenage male id onto the screen, and yet there's so much energy and charm and conviction in it that it just seemed wrong that there were more of these movies out there that I couldn't access. So that's where it became like a mission. And as far as did they live up, yeah, I was pretty happy as I slowly worked through the three others when Jan sent them to me. It definitely was a challenge to know what I was seeing, but as far as the visceral impact, which is what Drillbit carries, it was definitely there throughout the others.
When did you decide to do the set? Like, was that the goal from the get-go, or like, when did that decision get made?
Yeah, so it was in the back of my mind because these were, like big want list titles that I finally had. It was like, if he's amenable to it, all the parts are there. But it was after seeing them all and making sure, like, I'm not going to put out a piece of shit, am I? It's like, okay, no, these are good. We have a good rapport between us. Like, why not see it? And it was probably, I think, like 2 months after the fact that I finally reached out and tested the waters to release them.
I think one thing that carries through all these films as well is the killers do have a pretty defined look. I mean, I think, and you mentioned the booklet, Vincent, but like a lot of thought seemingly went into the costumes, especially in this one, because I mean, the killer's got that great mask.
Yeah.
Converse high tops, I think. It's like he's got a style, though. I mean, what does the killer do for both you in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. He's also wearing like light wash jeans and fingerless gloves. Like it's like a heavy metal like Hesher fan, like just what they would be wearing, but cast as a white masked zombie.
It honestly might as well be the same killer across all three short films, as far as I watched them all in one sitting, and I was like, this could just be like I guess in the next one, I Hate You, Kill or Die, you get more of an origin story than you've gotten before, but really the first two films I was thinking like, yeah, this is just we're doing it again. I'm in again. Like, it seems like making films in such close proximity to one another kind of causes the ideas to bleed over into each project. But also you can see like this next film, he's it all takes place, on city streets, and like there's actual locations and a lot more characters and stuff like that. It's a lot more ambitious So it seems like he's keeping some things the same, like he's comfortable just doing the masked killer in half street clothes, but then he's adding these elements and messing around with things like low lighting, shooting in the dark, which I don't know if he successfully did. But I respect the swing.
Yeah, that's one thing I noted too, is that, we're so spoiled these days with iPhones where you can literally just tap the screen and it's like, oh, look, it totally changes the lighting. But that is something that stands out, is just how hard it actually is to make a convincing looking movie. This movie we're talking about now is Cannibal Massacre, also 1988. And like you said, Aaron, they go into the streets. There's a new killer. Yeah, they throw in, I don't know if we can call it morality, but they sort of try to show the man in black as like stopping crimes, but then he doesn't.
Committing his own.
Yes. Yeah, but I think, again, these were 15, 16-year-olds making these movies, and they don't look perfect. It's shot on video. They don't have a portable lighting rig. Like, they're just doing these in the dark. But how do you both feel about how these films look? And Vincent, maybe in comparison to other, late 80s shot on video stuff, like how does this film look?
Yeah, I mean, this is purely consumer grade. This is camcorder you bought out of a department store. This is not broadcast video like Video Violence 1 was shot on. This is down and dirty, and the limitations of the format are kind of the defining feature in some ways. And one thing I do love is there are a ton, and I mean a ton, of low light set scenes in Cannibal Massacre. But on the same side of that, that means that there are 15-year-olds that were hanging out in the dark, like their parents probably wondering where they were, filming people having their stomachs ripped open in front of corner stores. That's impressive to me.
But it's what everyone should be doing as kids, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And blowing up their stomachs with fireworks, yeah. Think outside the box, kids.
God, if any of my students find this podcast, they're going to be like, oh, so Mr. B condones all of this, huh?
He's cooler than we thought.
He endorsed it.
Mom, I'm going to go make a movie.
Learned it from him.
So, Vincent, this is another one where I am so curious. What is this movie like without subtitles? Because
and in the dark.
No, that's a great question, because as I mentioned earlier, watching European SOV stuff without that is nothing new to me. I've seen dozens, if not more, titles like that.
Okay.
And still do, if that's the way that they're available to me. There's a point where lacking that context doesn't even matter, and it becomes a purely visual form. In this one, when I got the subtitles and realized that the whole plot surrounds this like Christian school missionary group and their efforts to clean up Oslo, and this cannibalistic crime stopping but also creating killer that is terrorizing the city but also interfering with their plans, that's where I realized that, like, maybe it does help to know what you're watching. It's like, there's a lot packed in here, and where I don't think, oh, fuck, he's killing him, like Norwegian Drillbit Massacre has, is a great loss to not understand. You gain something here, whether it's successful or not.
Yeah, Jan has some stuff on his mind.
Yeah.
He has some themes on his mind, like literally.
There's a bit more of an attempt at plot. I can't say it's necessarily a straight line, but there's you can see the wheels turning and they're going places. I mean, actually, maybe how do you know cast wise, like, or crew too? Like, how was there much rollover between these films?
Yeah, there definitely was some consistent names. Like, you'll recognize the faces in some cases as well.
Yeah.
I think one thing that should be shouted out is that Jan seemed fairly socially adept. Unlike, his American SOV peers. There are girls in these movies.
This is true.
That counts a lot for teenage SOV.
It's a plus.
Yeah.
I feel like is it like the Polonia brothers. The Polonia brothers. It was just those two, right? All the time.
Quintessential example of it.
Yeah.
And, Mark will still joke about like, yeah, we weren't going to get girls to be in the movies we were making then.
So do you know, was Moller writing most of these himself, or was it like a few friends that kind of had the ideas together, or do you know much about how these films came about, or is that probably sitting in the podcast?
Yeah, it's sitting in the podcast. I don't really know. Based on the credits, it seems like it's, if I could translate, screenplay by or story by, but I can't really, so I don't really know what each credit corresponds to, but
okay.
I think written and directed, it's pretty much across the board in his hands.
His name definitely appeared a lot, yes.
Yeah. Effects, camera, the ones that do resemble their English counterparts.
Yes.
They appear in those awesome, like, recorded on the TV credits.
Yes.
Like that the
where
first
you can hear
3
somebody
short films have.
like smoking and giggling during Norwegian Drillbit Massacres. You hear inhales.
This one, there are some scenes that do start to feel a little long. You mentioned there's girls in this, and there's the scene where one of them gets out of the shower and starts to get dressed. You can definitely feel it's teenagers being a little like, we're being naughty right now. There's a camera roll, and you're mostly naked, but what can we get away with? Maybe that scene didn't need to be that long. But
No, there's also the classroom scene that I think is like 5 or 6 minutes long, straight through.
And they're talking about like the Satan taking over Earth or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is some pretty heavy Christianity doses in this. I mean, do you know much about, did he go to religious school or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have the context on that. Like, it clearly seems like he's poking fun at, like, upright Christian youth and that faith.
For sure,
but
yeah.
I don't know if that's, just like how all 80s horror was against, like, religious fundamentalists and censorship. Those were the two big themes somebody would tell you. I don't know if it's just that or if there was, like, a personal experience that drove that.
Okay. There's definitely some great giggling through the take shots in the Christian scenes that only teenagers are going to do. Gotta love it.
I would argue that every movie's better if you can see or hear someone laughing in a take, or see like the shadow or the reflection of the camera.
Oh yeah,
totally.
I love I might be stealing this from somewhere. Someone might have said this that I heard recently, and I just agreed with it. So now I'm regurgitating it. But I love seeing a hint that someone made the movie.
Yeah,
I think that's great. Yeah,
I think perfect movies are kind of boring.
Keep stealing that, Aaron. Stealing's good.
And now you can steal that and say that on.
This will be our episode of Great Advice. Again, this one has some pretty risky stunts. There's one that stands out. The cannibal gets in. Is it the school he's chasing kids around? It's a building, and
I think it was an apartment building for that scene.
Okay, but there's a chase scene, and one of the kids does something that, every time I watch it, it's just like, don't do that. Or maybe if Aaron's in charge, hey kids, do that. Do you guys know the stunt I'm talking about?
The stairwell where he jumps like a whole story.
Yeah.
And then hangs from the side of the stairs.
It looks like an actual he falls, and then the screams of terror and pain sound real.
That's not acting. Yeah.
It's so good.
And he lands on the kid playing the killer as well at one part of it too.
Yeah, safety may not have been their number one concern, but
when you're making a film where someone's eating a cop's penis after killing them, I think, your safety probably isn't your biggest priority. This is so funny, guys. I literally just had a safety talk with my kids in class yesterday. I told them about Alec Baldwin and the whole what else? The director of CBGB had a train track, whatever. Anyway, it's very funny that I'm doing a complete 180 here.
Well, you got it all out of your
stand by
system.
it.
Now you're being the true Aaron.
Yes.
Let me tell you my true feelings.
I'm putting on a performance every day. Vincent, I get this film in particular reminded me a little bit, and maybe just like the body of work as a whole. Have you ever seen Alan Clark's Elephant?
Yeah, I adore Elephant. I love Alan Clark. I adore Elephant, which is a weird thing to say for Elephant, but
Well, but it does. I love that too, and it inspired Gus Van Sant's Elephant,
Right.
which is another one of my favorite films. But I was getting Elephant vibes from these, and just how like you're introduced to characters who then are unceremoniously killed, and I guess it's more slasher inspired than anything. But the way it's so mundane and so like bleak, kind of the way that he films these things happening. It's like very matter of fact.
yeah, there's writing I did in an old zine I put out about like Elephant specifically, and like a certain type of like aesthetic sadism that's demonstrated in a really crude reduction. Elephant kind of is both a slasher film and also does what critically slasher films are accused of, reducing, human figures to meat for the slaughter,
Yeah.
divorcing it of its political context.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the Elephant comparison to this.
Even though it is, again, very funny to say that about a film where a kid is just trying to see how far he can push like a violent death.
Right. As you said, movies where cops get their dicks eaten versus the depiction of the Troubles.
The police station scene is another one that maybe could be hurried up a bit. It's funny watching this after having seen Oslo Terror, which was the first feature film. There's some dead time in that one too, I think is a nice way to put it. But a few of these scenes you can kind of see the habits of like, what if we stretch this scene out a bit? It could maybe be a little shorter and it would be to its benefit, but it does lead to places at least, because you get introduced to the cops who are just like, okay, we have a boring job. We're writing down license plates for mopeds right now. And then they get the call that like, oh, there's been a murder. It's like, oh, okay, let's go solve the murder.
It's like, this is our big break. Like, there is that kind of hope invested in them for the, they're on screen for 6 minutes at the station, then 2 additional minutes before they die.
Yeah.
You do get something in those 2 additional minutes, though.
They were trying to be as gory as they could, I think, in these. And this one there's a few genuine, like, oh, wow moments. So anytime you get that in a homemade movie, like, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I know you have these on here in release date order, but the way that they're placed is I think it worked for me because, I watched Cannibal Massacre and I was like, very much like Craig, okay, this is dragging in some places. And then you move on to I Hate You, Kill or Die, and it's like bang, bang, bang. Like, it's just like his shortest film by 15 minutes, I think, right?
Yeah, it's half as long as Drillbit, if not less.
It's like, 17 minutes, I think?
I think it's like 12.
Yeah, it's speedy.
It's short and sweet. But I feel like the order that he made them is the perfect order to watch them, which I'm a release date purist anyway.
I'm also that way.
Some people start with The Phantom Menace, you know what I mean? Fucked up in the head. But I think that the way you should be watching these is the way that they're on Vincent's DVD and the way that they were made and released.
Yeah. I had to ask Jon, like, just because, reading like 1988, 1989, that's not really clarifying, because when he told me, and that's the order that we kept them in for this, it's not the order I would have supposed they had come out in.
Yeah. Now, Vincent, you made an interesting note that I think you're probably about to get to, but you made a note that just said this feels like it should be his first film.
Yeah, so jumping into I Hate You, Kill or Die, it's about 11 or 12 minutes long. It's the story of a boy who's bullied, and I think it's 5 years later, he suits up in combat gear, very clearly inspired by Joseph Zito's slasher, The Prowler, and kills his bullies who are now seemingly productive members of society with jobs. And yeah, he just slaughters them, and that's all there is to it. It is stripped down to the bone. There's like no thematic exploration like you saw growing in Cannibal Massacre. It's just, this happened, now this is happening with more power tool kills.
Yeah, it's point A to point B, and kind of attempts a message. I do love in the credits because it's like the first scene is the kid being bullied in the snow, and then it goes to the credits and it says, "Don't harm anyone. You might regret it." And then it goes to the garage where they're hired to be clearing out the garage, and he kind of starts picking them off one by one, and then it's just a big chase scene.
Yeah. It's like a good 5 minutes, if not more, of chase, which in a film this short is
hefty.
Weird.
This was the only one that feels like they definitely could have made in a single day. I mean, the other ones definitely feel like there's multiple pieces, but this one definitely could have been you guys want to make a movie?
It also has my favorite stunt, I think.
Which one's that?
Oh, the school?
Yeah. Just jumping off the roof of a school.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
The school that appears in all but Oslo Terror.
Yeah. I'm assuming these were just, we make these in our neighborhood movies and probably just, who's free today? I mean, that's the vibe I get on this one especially. Just, who's around? You guys want to do it?
Yeah.
So we haven't really talked about music yet. We've mentioned Alice Cooper is in most of these, but the soundtracks on these, and Oslo Terror is, yeah, that one's got some tunes in it, but
it's got New York in it.
It has Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in it.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a day in the life. It's got Welcome to the Jungle, and then was it Sexy Girl by Sabrina?
Yeah. So, to speak on the soundtracks, when I reached out about licensing the movies and getting this underway, Jan was like, well, as long as you know that I didn't have the rights to any of this music and this is all unofficial, I was like, I promise I knew that. I don't think at the level that we're working at, like, Metallica's lawyers are not going to find this. And I'm knocking on wood right now.
If there's one band that's going to find you.
Lars Ulrich's ears are burning right now.
It's going to be something that you don't expect at all. It's going to be like Kubrick's estate coming at you for them using the Clockwork Orange theme.
But the thing is, like, not only is Xposure Video a very small operation, and, we're promoting this online, not through any major channels, so I'm, in theory, not worried about a cease and desist. And also, I'm not going to name any names, but if you look at certain other labels releasing underground films, there are some absolute questionable music clearance moments that are making it even to major distributors.
Better to ask forgiveness.
Right.
That's another lesson. That's another lesson for the day.
From Mr. B.
I mean, am I crazy if I got the most enjoyment out of this one?
No.
I think this one and Norwegian Drillbit Massacre are probably neck and neck for me.
Okay, cool.
But this one, maybe I shouldn't give things the edge just because they remind me of when I was a kid, but that's literally what this was and what this did. And I was like, I remember once my cousin who I used to make all my films with had a open like a staircase with a railing, and then there was a hallway underneath, and we were like, we're gonna do a stunt where we jump off of the railing and land on the mattress, and we put a mattress there, and we were like amping ourselves up, and we never did it because we were too scared, not even scared that we would get hurt, scared that we would get in trouble, right?
That's
like
the
show
bigger
the film
fear.
to our parents, and yeah, exactly. And so I just kind of wish that I had the balls to make a film where me or one of my friends was jumping off the top of the school into a pile of snow. Like, I don't know, there's something, it's almost like wish fulfillment for me where I'm like, thank God he did this and made this and didn't die, but, I'm so happy this exists.
It's a big jump.
It's
a
like
huge
a good
jump.
Yeah.
15 feet at least. And it's just into snow.
It's over another, like, level of the building. So, like, he jumps that too short, and he's, like, breaking a leg.
And it's also not a pile of snow. It's just snow gathered on the ground.
Right.
So Vincent, another note you made is that you think concision actually weakens I Hate You, Kill or Die. Why is that?
This is another one where this one through and through, apart from the don't harm anyone note and the, not the opening credits, but like the act break. Apart from that, I knew exactly what was happening and being implied in this one. I just don't think there was any depth revealed. There was no like, oh, he's poking fun at Christianity, or oh, he's doing like an offensive version of the Gong Show, like parts of Oslo Terror end up being. I don't know. Shorts are always kind of weird with SOV stuff because they can be half-baked or underdeveloped. Or in like the Drillbit Massacre's case, they nail everything that they set out to do. This one I just don't think arrived where I wanted it to. There are parts I love, like the kill scene in the garage, but it's just lacking some of the energy that I grew accustomed to from the other three.
What's something you like about this one, just so we don't end it on a critique?
Yeah. I released this short film. I love it as well. I will make that clear. I think that the garage scene where he first kills half of the bullies from his youth, it's really uniquely staged in that there's this upper level loft where the vindictive bully victim is killing off his bullies, and below him the others are like working and going on, caring about their day. And it's kind of unique and innovative for, again, a single day most likely shoot. And again, there's another drill to the stomach effect, and we love that.
Always a hit.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke.
So I think there is some unique staging.
Aaron, anything else you want to add?
No.
No more advice for the kids?
Jump off your roof.
Jump off your roof, steal expensive music, steal other ideas, and what was the first thing?
I stopped listening a long time ago.
Put fireworks on your friends. Vincent, I gotta ask you a question before we take our break. Is trapeze canon?
Trapeze is not canon because... So, the reasons it was not included, somebody, when I announced this, mentioned like, oh, are you going to do trapeze too? And I was like, well, what's trapeze? Jon did not tell me about trapeze. He did not send it to me. It is not in the agreement that he signed. So for those reasons, it is not canon. But yes, trapeze does also fall into this filmography.
I did watch Trapeze.
Wait, I haven't even heard of this one. What's this one about?
It's on archive.org.
Craig, you're in for a treat.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you not want to talk about it, Vincent? Because it's not.
Oh no, I'm fine to talk about it. I just think Craig might have fun walking in blind.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, you know what? On the break, Craig, why don't you watch Trapeze?
It's very
like
short.
6 minutes.
Like,
okay.
If even that long, yeah.
I think this will be a great thing to come back in with. No pun intended, Vincent.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing our favorite podcast trick again. I am holding up Videogore, the films of J.C. Moller from Xposure Video. So we've talked about the 3 shorts so far. Now we're going to pivot over to Oslo Terror, which is J.C. Moller's only feature film, right? Mm-hmm. Was this the last film?
Wait,
he made?
I'm so sorry, Craig. Are we not going to talk about Trapeze at all?
I was hoping to just keep going, but okay, we just watched Trapeze. Aaron, why don't you give us a plot summary of it?
I'm gonna read the Letterboxd plot synopsis. The final climax of sadomasochism and lust.
That kind of gets it.
Yeah.
It's essentially just a teenager jerking off with a fake penis, and then climaxing, and then cutting said penis off of his body.
Yeah.
The connective tissue continue
In the heavy metal poster adorned bedroom.
Vincent did not want to include it for some reason.
Shocking decision.
I don't have the rights to it. That's the plain and
Sure.
That's a thing that exists. It's on Internet Archive if you want to experience it. So Oslo Terror is, what is it, hour and 40?
It's a little over an hour and a half. Like 95 minutes, yeah.
So it's
around there.
Basically as long as the other shorts combined. This is the first feature-length film. I mean, Vincent, do you know why they decided to make a feature film? I mean, do you know what was going on at all, or is it just the next step?
I think it was just the next step. Like, they had clearly nailed what they were going for in the others. And I guess this is a good time to add that all of Jan's films were not widely distributed, but there were self-released VHS copies that I've seen photos of, and that these were obviously taken from. So there was an audience in place, not a large one, but I think it was just the next progression for a zine publisher and independent filmmaker to take after 3 shorts.
Yeah, they seemed more passed around a friend group than, something like Video Violence, where the implicit goal was to profit off of the films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just another important point is that Norway does not really have like an extensive history of horror filmmaking. So there were a couple of productions, and then this underground wave came. It's also not part of the culture as much, or it was not at the time these were being made.
I feel like they've got more heavy metal, though, right? Like, that's one of the hot spots.
Which is funny that Jan's tastes, as we talked about, are rooted more in, like, Alice Cooper and Iron Maiden and that scene than, like, the black metal that Norway became infamous for just a few years after he stopped making his movies. This is a little more fun, indulgent.
I love the intro to this movie. It first says, "This film should not be seen by anyone over 30. And then the next text says, "This film contains violent imagery unsuitable for minors." Maybe this is a good way to get into this film. Who is this movie for if you can only watch between the ages of 18 and 29?
Me.
It's for Aaron.
It is for fans of his films.
I fall within the 12-year window.
Enjoy it while it lasts, kiddo.
Yeah. Only another 2 years.
Oh, and happy birthday, by the way. You just had a birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. 28. Woohoo.
Enjoy.
My back hurts.
Oh. All right, so I think it's fair to tackle this head on. This is a pretty messy movie. Multiple plots going on. They kind of try to congeal at the end with varying success. Yeah. But Vincent, Aaron and I were both talking while we were on break that we read your booklet, which I'm holding up the movie again, and we both went, "Oh, that's what's going on." So would you be kind enough to give us a quick intro to what the Oslo Terror is all about?
I mean, I think the only way to really tackle it is to kind of break it up into the thirds that it roughly falls into. So the first section, there's a spiked drink in some kind of degenerate character's apartment that turns him into... And we have a debate in our notes. Are they zombies? Is it a weird cannibalism thing? I don't know. I truly don't. But he, for the next 30 minutes, goes on a killing spree in the streets of Oslo, and then some of these converted cannibal zombie characters continue wreaking havoc in the city, so they call in Vera's detective agency from the countryside, and that is 2 women running a detective agency that go to the city, but to the chagrin of their lesbian, sadomasochistic landladies, who are played by teenage boys in drag, even though there are women in this movie. And they get to Oslo. Sandy and Candy, the landladies, continue whatever they're up to in the meantime. And all 3 of these plots converge, and it turns out that it's not cannibals or zombies causing this, but the ultimate in satanic evil.
I think
Did I do
missed
an all right
that
job?
part.
Great. That was great. That was a great plot synopsis.
Thank you, Vince.
I still don't know what happened in this movie, though.
I will say this thing comes out really strong out of the gates.
Yes.
That first segment is as good as anything else Moller did. I mean, yeah. What stands out to you guys about how it starts? Because it goes places.
Yeah, I mean, I love the just the cold open of the guy poisoning his friend, or maybe not his friend, but this guy. It's a different death than what we've seen Jon do so far, right? I don't think we've seen many deaths that weren't straight up like penetration with a sharp object, right? So I enjoyed the deviation from the playbook there.
Varying degrees of murder.
Yeah. And some of the, especially in the first third, some of the kills are really gross. In a way that suggests not an effects budget, but an effects imagination that wasn't really present in Jan's other works. Mm-hmm. They really went for the gore with this one.
Yeah.
In your conversations with him, did he ever talk about like how he was funding these, or how much they cost?
No, but I assume pennies. I think
Right.
the most elaborate part of even Oslo Terror, which is more elaborate for sure, is the opening credits are actually done on a computer. And they look pretty good. So I think that's the most intricate touch.
I was
overall.
shocked. I was like,
Yeah.
am I watching the right thing right now?
Yeah, there's a logo even.
Yeah, crazy. I also love how much of this is just filmed in public.
Yeah.
Yes. And the final 40 minutes take place almost entirely in a major mall in Oslo.
It's fun watching the backgrounds in that scene because there's for 10 minutes a character just walking around with a knife and there's duct tape around his neck and some people are just cool. And, there's one guy who you see sprinting in a coffee shop, but most people are pretty unbothered.
Which is crazy because in the 80s, not everyone is doing this, right? Not everyone is making movies, violent movies out in public. Now, I feel like someone sees kids making a film on their iPhone.
There's a camera over there.
Right,
Whereas
everyone's
back
expecting
then,
to be filmed now. But yeah, it's some of the nonchalant responses. I'm actually shouldn't you? You should be concerned right now.
That's kind of weird.
What's going on over there?
This one again, with the first characters we really meet are the 2 Christian boys who are oh, let's go to church and read some good psalms, and then 2 bullies come up and are hey, you want some cigarettes or whatever, whatever they're saying, and they try to say Elvis is playing in town or something, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
He was resurrected and he's back. I don't know. But then, one kid goes to the bathroom and gets attacked by, what do we want to call him? The infected man?
The infected works, yeah. Possessed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Not quite a zombie, but
Undead in some form.
deadish.
Yeah.
We'll get our zombie nomenclature down. But yeah, it's another one, though, where it's kind of a chase scene for a bit, and then a guy shows up with a porno mag and starts having fun with himself in public.
Yeah.
Didn't see that part coming either.
If you had watched Trapeze, beforehand,
maybe I would have known. Yes.
I hadn't watched Trapeze when I first saw an unsubbed version of Oslo Terror, but I was also not surprised when that part came up.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Par for the course.
Just pulling out the hot dog and then a condom, like always be safe.
Literally a hot dog, everyone.
And it would be crass if it wasn't so endearing, right? It's almost like
it's goofy.
When again, I'll just keep adding on to the bad teacher things, but it's like sometimes my kids say things in class that I like pretend I don't hear, but I have to like stifle laughter, and I'm just like, they shouldn't be saying this, but it's funny that you're saying this, like, you know what I mean? And then I just ignore it because otherwise I would have to
report it,
yell at them. Yeah. It's like that. This is the same vibe where it's like, I can't believe your 16-year-old brain is like, I can believe it, but I also like, you're doing it. Like, that's impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah, my first thought was that the middle segment kind of was like supposed to be a Grey Garden spoof, but then seeing it again this time,
I thought the same thing, Craig. Yeah.
It was like, I don't remember a garden hose.
Grey Garden. And S&M weird yeah.
So it goes from basically like a zombie movie with, chasing and there's some kills, and then like the other people get infected, and then they start telling a bunch of racist jokes. Like, that kind of comes out of nowhere.
Vincent, you touched on the problematic elements of this film in your essay, but I don't know. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can, because seeing parts of this film with subtitles, I was like, oh, what did I just spend my money on? Like, am I really putting this out? But yeah, just like some of the more offensive dialogue. There's like an extended scene where a character is being murdered graphically and keeps telling the most offensive jokes he can. But there's a weird kind of reversal where the killers are like booing him and giving him thumbs down even while they're tearing him apart. I'm like, is this like a commentary? I don't think it is, but it's so messy and sloppy and awkward. It's like, of course he was a teenager. Like, it's just awkward and uncomfortable, and sometimes we have to accept that that's what art made by amateurs is. Like, it doesn't justify it, but, I think it's important to contextualize, and I can certainly say that Jan certainly did not endorse any of these views in our conversations.
Right. I grew up making YouTube videos and like started.
Can we link those in the comments to this, Craig?
Absolutely not. I think I'm actually gonna have to scrub my account after this.
I'm on it.
But like, I thought that I was maybe the first generation that would look back on things on the internet and be like, oh God, what was I doing? Why did I put this out there? Like, I'm going to, let's get rid of this. And this isn't, like, anything cringy necessarily, but it is, like, I've never considered that, and maybe, I don't know if Jan ever considered either that, like, or definitely 16-year-old Jan was not thinking about the fact that this could be a thing that would potentially, that 40 or 50-year-old him would have to grapple with, that he recorded these jokes with his friends and now they exist.
Yeah, no, it was just impulsive, spur of the moment, probably never thought of again, and that's also part of the creative process, for better or for worse. And again, like, that was part of the thing that we had to consult him for subtitles, and he was like, yeah, this is not acceptable. Like, he spelled it out very clearly. This is somebody that had grown.
Do you know why he stopped making films?
I don't, actually. There's a Letterboxd review. I guess I can kind of wind into this, like, one of the longer things I did want to talk about here. That is that after this came out, I got a decent response from, like, people in Norway that knew these movies, had seen them, had had bootlegs in terrible quality for years. And I just got to talking with someone, his name is Ingve, and he was asking, like, where did, like, the copies of the movies that you used, where did the artwork come from? And eventually he realized, or revealed to me, that he had met up with Jon and had kind of known him in the 80s and had made these copies and had released the unofficial DVD that came out. And the files that Jon sent me had come from him, and the artwork he had made for I Hate You, Kill or Die was the one that we used on the back cover. So there were other people that were aware of this and were sharing these around. And that's kind of where these came from. And I got that response.
So was he okay with it, or was it an issue?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm caught now. I was like, no, he was cool. Like, he bought a copy. He was very nice. And it was just like, I appreciate you telling me this, because I had no clue where these files that were sent to me came from. They were not the video masters, definitely. So it was kind of just eye-opening to know, like, other people, this is kind of a point of, if not national pride, that might be, you know, overinflating it. But definitely something that people cared about and wanted to see done. So it was nice to have an open dialogue and see, like, this is kind of the lineage that my own release is contributing to.
So, Vincent, I think we stopped before we talked that you had plans to do, I believe it was a commentary with Jon, right?
I was going to do like a long interview with him, just a recorded video interview to tell the stories.
He died 2 days before you were scheduled to do it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So there were a lot of loose ends involved in this project that, you know, it definitely, I know you, I know your work, I've worked with you. You dot all your I's and cross your T's.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely very sudden to happen. It was like, also, how do I do this right? And how do I tell the story without this big part of it now?
The central figure, yeah.
Right.
Was that difficult to do? Like, because you strike me as a perfectionist a little bit, Vincent. And so, like, did you have to, like, let go of that part of yourself a little bit to just kind of be like, oh, well, I have to put this out. Like, it's important to put this out.
Yeah, I did, because I just wanted that interview to tell the story that, again, it's probably contained on the Norse Cult Film podcast. I have no way of knowing that. But it was like, there's only so much I can do, so in writing the booklet, I can just go with, you know, my impressions of everything, the context it fits into as I understand it. And one of the other things that was unfortunate is not being able to get scans of the Videogore zines, which was a long process to just try and track down somebody that had it and could help us out, just so we had some reference point, since Jon couldn't provide them himself as he was going to. And another person to shout out now is Kay Olsen, who works with the Norwegian Film Institute. She eventually came through and had updated me throughout my own process as she was uncovering some info, and shared scans and artwork and the ads that I shared with you guys the other night of these films. So there were people that were in our corner helping to make this happen.
So have you found any other, like, cast or crew who were involved?
So Kay is good friends with somebody that was involved with Oslo Terror, I believe.
Okay.
And he didn't really have much, like, no materials to contribute and just vague memories. It's something I've thought about returning to, is like tracking down people or seeing if anyone has gotten a hold of this and has made a post online or anything. And even if it's just a split tooth essay down the line about, like, Videogore at however many years.
That'd be amazing, yeah. So, Vincent, the first time I met you in person, you were working on Videogore. You were in Portland, and we got some drinks, and you were still uncovering everything. But one thing you mentioned was that there was a 55-minute version of Oslo Terror somewhere out there. I haven't seen this yet, but you mentioned that you kind of prefer it. How different is that version, and, you know, just kind of what's it like?
Yeah, so that was kind of an impromptu version made by the guy that did our subtitles for us. He just sent it to me one day. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. The movie would be stronger. Here's that cut. I think he made it in like an afternoon or something.
Okay.
And what it does is it cuts out that middle act that we talked about being kind of awkward and weird and uncomfortable. So the stuff with Sandy and Candy, the two landladies, aka the kids in drag, and some of the more offensive like comedy gets cut out. It's just more streamlined because without those two Sandy Candy characters, like, they don't add anything when you watch it as a linear progression. So I think it's stronger for that.
But I do think it was the right call to put the 90-minute one into the box set, like, and not even including the 55. Like, I think I feel like it's an important part of art preservation. Like, there's a lot of things that were culturally insignificant throughout history up until very recently, probably still, right? And it's like you don't just kind of try to bury that stuff, right? You kind of have to like grapple with it and live with it. And it's the piece of art, and we can have it while having conversations like this. That doesn't mean we condone it, even if we like the film. Doesn't mean we condone it. So I think yeah, I'm glad. Even if I hated parts of the 90-minute cut, I would have been more frustrated watching a 55-minute. If that was the only one available to me, I would have been very frustrated about that. So
yeah, I felt the same way.
I think if you flip the scenario and say, oh, this guy only included the 55-minute one when there's this 90-minute cut, then you're going to be angering people. So
Yeah, as a completist, there's that. And just like Aaron was saying, is like, you have to contextualize the original form. Like, I thought about putting the shorter cut as like an Easter egg or something, but we did not do that. There are no Easter eggs on this for anyone. But yeah, I think you do have to contend with the art as it originally existed. And even when I was first emailing Jon, before I had seen this, before there were subtitles, before any of this, he was like, in a parenthetical, just like, Oslo Terror, you could probably cut it in half and it would be better. And then when I did license them, he was like, and if you want to cut anything down, feel free. Like, I'm not sold on this. So few people have seen this as it is. It deserves to be out there as it was originally created.
With the whole soundtrack preserved.
Yeah.
I will say it was never really boring.
No.
Like I thought there were parts of Cannibal Massacre that were boring, and I feel like, but that's still, it's like it's more brief, and it never really, if there is like one or two boring scenes in there, it's over quick enough to where you're onto something interesting. But here, again, the problem was never that I was bored. It was just like I was kind of like put off by some elements. And I also feel like it roped me in early and then like lost me pretty rapidly. And then I tuned back in for the third act. But at that point, I was just like, what am I watching?
It does create a bit of a distance as you go, I think, because it does suck you in a bit. But then there is that like, what was that middle thing we just saw?
Right.
But again,
what were they doing with that garden rake?
Yeah. And why? But again, there are some highlights we haven't talked about yet. I mean, there's a few crazy kills. There's like a slow motion hand being pulled off. I mean, What stands out to you guys in the positive sense, though? Because this is like, again, 16-year-olds making a feature film that has some wild sequences.
I thought that this was particularly, there was a big step up in cinematography and editing. I feel like like a lot of the earlier stuff felt like, we're making a movie, let's just point and shoot and let's do it. Like get the shot, one take sort of deal. And this felt like actually something that might have been storyboarded out, and there were some sequences that were cut together. I remember one at the end that was cutting between different coverage that I hadn't seen him try before, of like close-ups of like body parts and parts of the face, and I was like, whoa, this is he's doing something here. And there was a lot of like exciting motion to a lot of the earlier sequences, and I don't know if a lot of that was due to him being in public places. But even like he had filmed in public places before, but it felt like this was just more thought out. And like that's why I think it never got boring to me, is because the filmmaking on display was exciting, even if I didn't care for what was really being shown.
Yeah, that's really well said. And I think there are some parts, like some of the kills are really good. Like even the one where the guy's telling all the offensive jokes while he's being pulled apart, like there's some decent gore effects there. And, you know, the way he's using cutaways is very instinctual. Like he gets the rhythm and flow of what he's trying to do. And the ending has always stood out to me just because it's kind of weird and unnerving that the comedy, whether by accident or just poor communication, drops away completely in the sense of like evil entering the world. It's kind of chilling and weird. And you also have, you know, like the fact that the evil force crawls out of somebody's ass, basically. It's like that's also kind of a bizarre way to take it, but something about that, it's like almost like an art and negative where like the failings end up creating something more convincing than if it was perfectly executed. And that's basically the appeal of a lot of SOV and amateur filmmaking for me in general, is those moments where it really does tap into something that you can't get in a more polished work.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this is a unique movie. There's no two ways about it. No one else is making Oslo Terror.
It's really grown on me through all the times that I've watched it. Like, as ugly and uncompromising as parts of it can be, it has something that works.
I thought it was interesting in the booklet, Vincent, because you mentioned that to you this film feels a bit like Burning Out. What do you mean by that? And maybe when you think about it in context with the other shorts, like what's going on with it?
Yeah, I just think that there are so many ideas and so many energies even channeled into Oslo Terror that it's like a lack of clarity and focus, whereas, you know, Norwegian Drillbit Massacre, that's laser focused on simple premise and scenario. But here we have 3, and kind of by the end, even 4 plot threads that aren't so much interwoven as they are smashed together. And I just think that where the technical elements are stronger, narratively and like expressively, the ideas are kind of sloppy, and it's like he's losing vision in favor of the results. So I don't know where it could have progressed beyond what is on screen here. Like another way to put it, I guess, is you think of somebody's first film that they make, and it's too long, and it's slow, and it's boring, and they throw everything in. Whereas it's the reverse order with Jan's movies. Like, he started simple and ended at this kind of convoluted mess that does work at times, but technically is good, but narratively has a lot of beginner mistakes to it.
It does make you wonder if the next thing would have been like more refined, like if he would have taken, like I don't know if his friend group thought like these jokes were funny at the time or whatever, but like if he had gotten feedback of like, hey, this isn't really cool, and then also maybe had like been like, okay, I've made a feature now I don't have to throw all of my ideas into this one thing. Maybe I can focus on one plot thread, but still use this inventive filmmaking. Like, I'm just very curious, and we'll never know, so maybe it's a non-starter, but I'm very curious of what the next thing would have been.
Yeah, and I also don't know if it was like, all right, we made a feature, like, we're good, like, we did it.
Right. And were all of the shorts just like training wheels, you know, to like get to that point.
Yeah, because that's also an interesting stage of life where it's, you know, you're probably around senior year of high school because they're probably, 17-ish. Mm-hmm. Maybe they all just went to college too, and then there was just no one left to do movies with. And I don't know, it can be really hard to restart anything creative, especially when you have, the people you relied on are gone. So that's potentially that too, but
Definitely.
Well, what I've learned is that it's so easy to like maintain the momentum of production, like when you're making something, but then like afterwards when you're the only person left trying to get this project over the finish line, like that's a very disheartening feeling, especially when it goes too long. And that has been a thing too, where like, okay, the friend groups it's just always been a weird thing to me where I've made movies with people that I don't talk to anymore. That's a strange thing to me, and I'm sure that Jon dealt with that too. Like he definitely did not keep in touch with all these people throughout his life. So it's just, again, I don't know if there's anywhere for that thought to go, but it is a weird thing of filmmaking where it's like almost like having exes in a way. I don't know.
yeah. Aaron, I haven't thrown many questions your way. I think you understand why, because different episode than normal, but you are a film teacher. You're also someone who's pretty open about having made some movies that you don't necessarily think are perfect works of art. I mean, what advice do you have to people about making the leap from those early attempts into something more focused and building off that base of initial inspiration? Because, like, I'm going to plug the Yardley Boys again because I love that movie. But, yeah, I mean, you've talked about momentum, but how do you build? Because I think that is the hardest thing to do in anything creative is, like, you start here, where do you go?
So, yeah, this is, and I know I've been saying all this stuff about, like, you know, kids jump off buildings and light your friends on fire. Like, obviously, I'm joking, but what I'm not joking about is the energy and enthusiasm that goes behind those ideas. Obviously, those are stupid, and if they went wrong, no shot is worth getting hurt over, right? We all know that. But that enthusiasm is what breeds great art, and it's what I always try to get through to my students. Vincent, you were saying something just a moment ago where you were like, part of the reason why you love SOV and these films in particular is like the failings create something more interesting than if it was a perfect artifact, right? And sometimes when you're making films this way, you get that small thing that you would never get no matter how many takes you tried to do in a contained environment. And that's really what I'm trying to get my students to do. That's what I'm trying to get myself to do. And that's what I think everyone should do. I get why people are like, I need to make the perfect film. I'm going to spend years on my screenplay and then make it the way that I want it and try to raise money for it. Like, I get that temptation. And that's worked for people. But I've always been of the camp of like, even if I make something shitty, there will be something in there that I take to the next thing and I make it better. And at least I made something, right? And I think I'm going to bring up Taylor Swift on Split Picks. Is that okay, Craig?
Why not? It's her week.
I think there's no excuse for that anymore once you get to a point. Like, I think you should always be experimenting, but like if you're turning out Life of a Showgirl after you're the most famous singer-songwriter of all time, like what the fuck are you doing?
So has it been on repeat for you?
It's so bad, Craig. I went to the theatrical screening of it. I'm a Swiftie, and I went anyway.
Didn't see that coming.
What I'm saying, a little, you know, whatever. She's got some good stuff. But what I'm saying is, before you've made it, there is no detriment, in my opinion, to making something, even if you don't. I mean, you said it yourself, Craig. You know, no one else is going to make the thing that you're going to make at the time in your life that you're going to make it. And that's my advice, is just like, tomorrow you will not make the short film you will make today.
Yeah.
And it seems like this filmmaker, who most of us would not know if it weren't for Vincent, just went out for 1 year or 18 months of his life when he was 16 and had friends and a camera and made these things that he wouldn't have and we wouldn't be talking about if he hadn't just made the choice to do that. And I think that's kind of the crux of the whole damn thing. And don't listen to Life of a Showgirl.
See, kids, he does have some good advice in him after all.
All it takes is the Phillies to lose, and then I start
philosophical spouting.
Wisdom comes out. Yeah, I mean, I think essentially what you're saying is creative risks are the important thing, and whether it's lighting fireworks on your stomach or just actually setting up a camera and hitting record. But Vincent, you've brought so many shot on video movies into my life and Split Tooth as a whole. Like,
sorry about that.
No, it's great. I mean, I'll be honest, like Nigel the Psychopath is one of the first shot on video movies I'd ever seen, and it's just,
awesome.
you know, kids walking around at the camera going, ha, 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 ha. Like, it's so great. It's so fun. But, you really went above and beyond with Videogore. I'm holding up once again for our, visually challenged listeners. Where is the best place for people to grab Videogore?
Yeah, so it's still available through my experimental kindergarten Big Cartel site, or message me directly if you have me on social media. And then CB Cobb, my partner in Xposure Video, he does Trauma Team distribution. They also have it in stock, so it is around. There are a few distributors that have it, especially for European and overseas orders. If anyone's looking for those, I'm happy to guide you there.
And we will link to all these places as well, so you can just click on Split Tooth to find these. Just grab this damn movie. You're going to have a good time with it. Videogore, the films of Jon Christian Møller. Finally, the ultimate shot on video heavy metal splatter horror release is out. Vincent, thank you so much, not only for joining us today, but also for putting so much work into this set. It's amazing. Job well done.
Seriously, Vincent. Yeah, this is awesome. Awesome set, awesome work.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, everyone.
2 thumbs up. Aaron, thanks so much for joining. Help me interview Vincent, because there's a lot to unpack in these.
Of course, anytime.
I don't know if we have another Split Picks planned at the moment, but it won't be 2 years this time, folks, I promise.
Hey, Aaron, come to Portland in March.
Yeah.
In March? What's going on in March? Did we talk about this?
This is fairly new.
March 14th.